Welcome to Sounding Board, a production of Seroptimist International of Novato, whose mission it is to improve the lives of girls and women, both locally and globally. Our guest tonight is Nancy McKenney, CEO of Humane Society of Marin. And we have her dog Brody with us. Hi, Brody. Hi, Nancy.
Hello.
I understand that Brody came from the Humane Society. He had been surrendered there?
Yes, he was actually only 6 to 8 weeks of age. He was a Christmas gift that a family, a woman in the family, the mother, was very excited to buy a dog from a breeder and present it to her family at Christmas. And unfortunately, after just 8 days in the home, no one was bonding to the puppy and no one really liked him. And she was really torn, and because of her a relative, a cousin, who volunteers at the Marin Humane Society, told her it's okay if it's not going to work out, Marin Humane Society could be an alternative for her to do something that's right for the dog. And she came in, and I happened to be at the front counter, and this was literally, I think, New Year's Eve. And Brody at the time was named Gus and was so small, she put him on top of the counter, and she was very, very distraught about having to do this and felt very guilty. And I reassured her, you know, puppies really are very popular at Marin Humane Society. They don't stay very long. And having a dog that's a mixed breed between a lab and a poodle, labradoodle, I said he really won't stay very long. And happened at the time, my husband and I were looking to adopt an animal. So one thing led to another, and I ended up, and my husband adopting Brody in early of January, a year ago this January.
So how old is he now?
He's about a year and a half.
He's still a little boy.
Oh, he is, and this is his first TV appearance too, so we hope it goes well, but we have gone through several, I will confess, we have gone through several dog training classes at the Marin Humane Society, and we will continue because I know it's more training for us of how to behave and cope with and instruct our dog as much as it is for him to have experience being in a dog training class.
Yeah, for sure. You have a high adoption rate there, is that true?
Mm-hmm. We're very fortunate in Marin, and we're really blessed that Marin community really supports and likes their animals and comes to the Marin Humane Society. So our adoption rate is very high. It's above the national averages. We don't have a set time limit for our animals, and of the animals that came in last year, our adoption rate was well in the 80% of all animals coming in went out. So we're really pleased with the adoption rate.
About how many come in?
Good question. We have about 4,000, anywhere from 4 to 4,500 per year on average that come into our shelter, a variety of ways or reasons. And over half are adopted out every year. And then a majority of animals also come into our shelter that are actually owned animals that are lost. And so our return to owner rate, we had about 1,000 animals come in that were found by their owners, redeemed. And then there's a few animals that we might transfer to another adoption agency or organization. So, but majority of animals are finding homes from our shelter.
How long can they stay there?
We don't have any set time limit. So that is something that we're, again, really thankful. We have the space and there's no, I should say, we accept all animals people bring to us that they, for a variety of reasons why they can't keep or no longer want. They stay up for adoption as long as possible, and there's just no set time limit, so it doesn't matter their age. Once they're up for adoption, we make them available for adoption until adopted. You know, and some animals can stay longer, and we just, when that happens, we try to figure out if there's a different way to market them. You know, promote them on our social media differently, take them out to an off-site adoption event. But we're committed to, once they're made available for adoption, we're committed to finding the right home for them.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I guess you're a no-kill shelter, is that correct?
Well, we do euthanize animals, and we don't say that we're not no-kill, but because we have that high adoption rate, and we keep animals as long as possible, we're very proud of our organization, but we're also very open and honest with the public in the sense that if we have to make a hard decision about euthanasia, it doesn't happen very often. It's less than 700 animals in a total calendar year. The main reasons why we would make that tough decision about euthanasia is either health or temperament, that the animal is in severe pain and suffering, we have no known cure, or we can't have the animal treated. And we do take animals to emergency clinics, and we do pay for a lot of veterinary care, but it's either severe medical issues or severe behavior. And again, when we have the responsibility of finding good homes for these animals and making sure they stay in that next home as long as possible, and that they become good representatives of our animals, we want to make sure that we have animals that are safe, that are animals that are well behaved and very well suited for the community. So we want to make sure we're not putting anyone at risk, our volunteers, our staff, or the public. So if it's severe aggression that we can't treat, can't protect, we would make that tough decision about a euthanasia. But very rarely do we have to make those decisions.
What animals are the most difficult to adopt?
Well, I think the animals that are difficult to adopt or who stay with us the longest are actually adult cats and then rabbits or small companion animals. A lot of times folks know to maybe get that rabbit or a guinea pig from a pet shop, and then it sort of loses its value or its uniqueness, or they just grow tired of it in the family, and then they bring them to the Marin Humane Society. But the community doesn't always know to come and adopt a rabbit or small companion animal from us first, which we would prefer they think about us first if they want to get an animal. Adult cats, because most people are coming in, they have that traditional pull of they want a young kitten. Mm-hmm. And so we do get a lot of kittens. In fact, we're starting to see kittens at our shelter today. We had several. But the adult cats sort of face age discrimination. So we try our best to encourage folks to understand that the young adult animal will live a long, happy life, will be just as grateful to come home and just as playful, but you don't have to go through that initial kitten house training routine or the antics of a puppy that take a lot of time. That the young adult to older animals still deserve to be adopted. So we try to convince people about that. But the toughest or hardest to find homes for is adult cats or the small companion animals. Just not so much the numbers, but because of misconceptions people have.
And what other kinds of animals do you have there?
Well, we have some doves right now that are up for adoption. We have, again, guinea pigs, rabbits, hamsters. We have a ram right now that's up for adoption that we transferred in from another shelter, trying to give a good home for. But primarily dogs and cats and small companion animals.
What has to happen before an animal gets adopted out? I know sometimes people say, well, you have to pay. So what does that cover?
Well, it's actually a good bargain if you adopt from Marin Humane Society, because if you think about a free animal you might pick up on the store or in front of a store or from a friend, you don't get everything that we've put into that animal before it's been placed in our adoption area. And so what we do when an animal comes into us, again, regardless of whether it was a stray running the streets of a city in Marin, whether it was a transfer in from another shelter, or whether it's an owner surrender like Brody was, all those animals are into our holding area for a couple of days so that they have a chance to adjust to their new environment. And it allows us time to observe its behavior and its habits a little bit, get used to seeing what that animal needs. And then every animal is examined by our veterinarian in case there's any health issues. They're given a first set of shots or vaccinations, so they're protecting the other animals in the shelter and also to protect them. So they get a full set of vaccinations. They get an exam. Then what we do is we have our behavior team actually evaluates their behavior, their temperament. They go through about an hour of evaluation, and we test how are they with other animals, how are they with somebody sort of putting their hand near a food bowl, and we use a fake hand in that, so we are safe for the staff that have to do it. We just evaluate their playful habits, and that enables us to have this full picture that we can then write up and explain to potential adopters what we know about that animal as an individual, what we know about their health, what we've been able to examine and determine for their health. And then we also know about dog breeds or cat breeds, so we can add a little bit more about, do you know that certain breeds like to play more, or working breeds or sporting dogs wants to play. So we add all that, and we give the potential adopters everything that we know about that animal from the start that it came into our shelter. And I think it gives them a nice picture of what they might be getting into, and what the animal might need. What would make a good home for that animal? Let's see if I can give him a treat.
That's what he needs.
So, I think all that, there's a lot of investment, and it's a pretty good bargain for the adoption fee. And you also, when you adopt, you receive information about some follow-up veterinary care. You receive the opportunity to have a free behavior consultation or time with our behavior department. So even on the post end of adoptions, you get a nice little package of follow-up care, and we're always there to help with advice if there's something that comes up. Because again, we're trying to be helpful to the new family in that adjustment period. So our goal is that the animals are doing well in the home, and they stay in their home for the rest of that animal's life.
I understand you bring in animals from other places. I recall reading about the Chihuahuas being rescued from Mexico, and there were some poodles, I believe.
Right. We've had some really big cases where we've gone outside our state and helped with a network of other animal organizations to help transfer in some animals in need, such as those big cases. And then even today, we brought in several dogs from Fremont Animal Shelter. So we have a pet partnership program, and we're really excited about it and really proud of it, because we have, again, a high adoption rate. Not that many animals come into our shelter compared to other shelters, and many shelters are just overwhelmed with animals, and they're also not getting those animals adopted. So we have a combination of staff and volunteers that go out to different shelters in the community and transfer animals in, and then we're able to find homes for them. So we're really excited about that.
I heard a story about chickens. So you have chickens even at your place?
Yes, we actually had chickens up for adoption. One of the cases or situations we got involved in, again, because we network with other shelters and farm sanctuaries around the country, but primarily in California, there was a very serious case of factory farm that had too many chickens, and the manager, the owner of the chicken production facility, he agreed to surrender over a lot of his chickens because he had thousands, and they were in not good shape. And so we helped the animal sanctuary folks with taking at least, I think it was about 400 at the end, 400 chickens that came to our facility. We have a small barn. We were able to house them. And these were chickens that had never seen the light of day. They were literally stuck in very small cage conditions and hoping that they would produce eggs in an inhumane manner. And so the groups were involved in this case really coordinated, because it was thousands and thousands of chickens that were in need of help. And we did our part. We took in 400 over a period of time, and we were able to place these chickens into local homes where they wanted a backyard chicken. They just wanted the chicken for their eggs, and they weren't going to eat the chicken. And it was great to see the chickens from the day of arrival, where they weren't even used to putting their feet on the ground, and they hadn't been used to sunshine. And so we have, again, an area where we could have them go out in a penned area. And then at the end, when they were fat and they were happy and they were walking and prancing. So even the chickens, made a transformation, and it took a lot of effort from our staff and our volunteers to help them, and then our adoption team finding the right homes for them. So that was a very hard time for us, to see that when they first came in, but very heartwarming to know we were able to make them survive and thrive and then be loved and have that experience.
Full circle.
Right, right.
Among the other services, I understand there are many that we haven't talked about, but there are people who help the homeless with their animals, and also seniors.
Right, right. We do a couple of things. One is we collect donated pet food or pet supplies, and we distribute that through different channels in the community to either low-income seniors who have pets or to the homeless who need a little amount of pet food. Of course, they can't carry a lot, but we do that throughout the year, and it's very rewarding for us to help that. We do have a small little fund where there are times when the homeless, they run into issues regarding health of their animal. They have an emergency with their animal. And we get involved oftentimes in helping with the local veterinary community. We help supply some funds to help with the expenses. So our goal really is to make sure that the animals that are loved and are companions to these folks who are frail or in need, that we can help them keep those animals with them as long as possible. So right now we are also working with the San Rafael Police Department and several other community groups in San Rafael to really address some of the questions and concerns they have with the homeless in their city. And we're working with them to find out first how many of the homeless have dogs in San Rafael, what are their needs, and perhaps what we will do is organize a veterinary vaccination clinic for those animals. Again, our goal is to make sure that those animals are well cared for. The guardians are being very responsible. If they need certain types of leashes, we'll provide them better leashes. So we really want to try to be a partner and make sure that, again, animals are safe, people are safe from the animals, and that the animals are getting the care they need. So we provide and stretch our dollars and our resources, and we utilize community partners to really help with that, and try to see what the problem is. And we might replicate this program in other cities too, but we're just starting very, very baby steps right now with that project in San Rafael.
That's very interesting, very worthwhile.
Yeah.
I understand you have something at San Quentin?
We do. For several years, we have a program called Pen Pals, and San Quentin has a group of inmates who are at a certain security level where they run what's called the firehouse, and they get to live in the firehouse, and they are the fire department for San Quentin Prison. So they're a little bit more responsible inmates, and what we do is we've set up a program where we send some of our dogs who either have to recover from some health issues or health cases, or they need some special behavior training. And we work with a group of volunteers that work with the inmates at the firehouse, and they are assigned to one dog, to one inmate, and they go through dog training classes there. We have the animal learn better behaviors, or they recover from some of their ailments, and it helps the inmates learn some skills. They also learn some patience and how to work with another living being in a positive reinforcement way. And for us, the animals come back to the Marin Humane Society healthy, happier, and they're well-trained dogs. And so it's a win-win for everybody, and we're really proud of that. We don't have a large number going there because there isn't a large number of animals that can stay at the firehouse, but it's been going on for several years, and again, a combination of our volunteers being willing to go and actually teach and work with the inmates, our staff selecting certain dogs that need to spend time there, and in our adoption promotion of when the animals come back, you'll see a particular sign and notice about this animal has graduated from San Quentin.
Yeah, I think I've seen that now that you mention it, yeah. When people see cruelty or hoarding of animals, do they report it to you?
We want them to. We want them to. We offer animal services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. We contract with several cities in Marin and the Marin County to provide these services called animal services, or some people would refer to it as animal care or animal control services. And part of that contract and obligation is that we investigate any complaint or any even inkling of if you don't have a full-fledged complaint and you don't have all the details, we want to know about it. We can take some of this information anonymously, but we do want to have the opportunity to investigate, check on that animal, even if it's a welfare check. Somebody who says, I'm not really sure an animal's getting the proper treatment. It's not necessarily breaking the law, but they're concerned about an animal in their neighborhood. We want to know. We will follow up and investigate. And also sometimes the first complaint doesn't lead to anything, but we can build files and cases. So we have officers who take animal cruelty very seriously. We're involved in several cruelty investigations right now. We investigate dog bite reports. Again, we have a very small but very professional animal services team that is covering all of the county. They get called out on dead wildlife, deer stuck in a neighbor's pool, to again concern that their neighbor might not be caring for their animal, or they're seeing signs of neglect or abuse, and we want to get on those right away.
Very interesting. There was a story in the paper about a gas leak in Novato. Can you tell us about that?
Well, we got involved and got called out because an elderly man actually was bit by his dog in his home, and bit pretty severely, and he called 911, who then knows to connect to us because there was a dog involved. They wanted us to go out, dog bite. So when our officer arrived, the gentleman was being treated for the bite, and when the fire 911 arrived, they started to smell what they thought was a gas leak. And so our officer at the time was helping with the dog situation, and it turns out that PG&E had to be called out and indeed stop the gas leak, and the dog was fine, and the gentleman was fine. I mean, he didn't have to require to be transported to the hospital. And later what we find out is that most likely this dog was warning his owner that he needed to get out of the house, and he was trying to get his attention. And he was an elderly gentleman, so he had very, very thin skin, a little frail skin. But that's what we have concluded in the case. So we were able to go out and make sure the dog was okay and follow up with, again, a dog bite report that we need to. But in the end, we think the dog was alerting his owner that he needed to get out and get out now. And
a hero.
He might have saved his life. Yeah. So it was a very touching story. And again, a partnership between all the responders, including Marin Humane Society, with that case.
A community organization, for sure. We see volunteers walking dogs outside. Are there other things that volunteers do?
Yes, we love our volunteers. They're really what we call the lifeblood of our organization. They help us do a lot of our projects and services and programs and outreach. And again, being a nonprofit organization, we have limited funds coming in, and volunteers provide their time and talent and leadership, from serving on the board as a volunteer to walking the dogs. We have volunteers who just want to spend time with the rabbits or cats. But we also have volunteers who help us with greeting the customers, helping them with the adoption process. We have volunteers who are out there providing the donated pet food and deliveries. And then we even have volunteers that are involved with our community programs and humane education programs, such as taking animals to libraries and helping kids learn to read with the dog. It's called Share a Book. And so, again, we couldn't do that without volunteers who have well-trained dogs, who have been trained themselves, and they help children read out loud to the dog and learn skills that help them feel more comfortable and confident in their reading. So volunteers can help, day in, day out, folding laundry. We have one volunteer that all she does is she comes one day a week and she helps us with our massive amount of laundry to, as I said before, the board of directors who are helping us with strategic planning and fundraising efforts and monitoring the fiduciary duties of a board. So volunteers are really necessary and needed, and if people come to us with a particular skill or talent, we love to figure out how we can capitalize on that and make them feel like they're very much needed and put to work. So if anybody's interested in volunteering, they just could go to our website. We have all the procedures and the information on our website and the application even. And we have orientations where we go through everything that we do and what the volunteer needs are, including fostering animals in their own home on a temporary basis. So volunteers are definitely something that we could always use more of. And we have volunteers who have been with us for 20 plus years. So we're doing something right, or they're doing a great job, and it's wonderful. So we have more information about our volunteer program on our website.
Can kids volunteer?
Yes, they can. We have particular programs and restrictions because if they're under 18, we don't necessarily allow them just to go straight into the volunteer program. But we do have youth volunteer opportunities, and we have an intern program for youth. If they go through the intern program, they can graduate to be a junior volunteer and work side by side with our adults. We have junior clubs where they can come after school. It's called our Roots and Shoots program based on Jane Goodall's training and programs. So volunteers can be young and old, and the children can also get involved in different activities too. And all that information's on our website, and it's run through our Humane Education Department for the youth volunteers and the youth clubs.
And before we go, I just want to ask you about new improvements in the facility. I understand it's very nice now. No more chain link fences.
Right. If someone hasn't been to our campus in 10 years, because they might have adopted 10 years ago and still have that animal and haven't come back, they need to, because we recently remodeled the whole dog adoption area. And we've gone through different phases where we've remodeled and opened up our cat rooms so that they're no longer in separate cages. They're actually catteries and vertical spaces provided for the cats, and folks can come in and get acquainted with the cats in the rooms. And then we also just recently remodeled the dog adoption area. So they have skylights in each of the little suites that we have. We have nice new facility, new product, and we have new, more room, more comfort for the animals while they're there. So we do encourage anybody. You can always come through and look. You don't have to adopt that day. So we welcome people to come through our campus and just see what's going on. There's a lot happening there, and it's a very exciting place to be.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for telling us all these interesting things about the Marin Humane Society. And I also want to thank our staff, Leon Johnson, and our Seroptimus crew who make this possible. And I want to thank all of you for watching our show.